You've been took, you've been had, hoodwinked. That's Malcolm X. That's what he said when it came to America. That's what HBCU leaders can say about President Donald Trump, who promised them he would increase financial support of historically black colleges and universities in his new budget. Yet, when the budget came out, Lord, where was the money? Trump courted the leaders and then brought them to the White House last month, where he signed an executive order promising to do more than any other president has ever done for historically black colleges and universities. But when it's time to write a check, well, that check bounced. Trump's 2018 budget says it will, quote, maintain, end quote, the $492 million that was already appropriated to the HBCU community and other institutions. But according to the Washington Post, the schools were actually receiving $577 million in federal money. Yo, what happened to the other $85 million? The budget also omits any federal funds for scholarships, technology, or campus infrastructure for HBCUs that school leaders had requested. And the administration did not expand Pell Grants to cover summer courses for low-income students that they also sought. Instead, the budget cuts nearly $4 billion from the Pell Grant reserves. A number of HBCUs and their supporting organizations are disappointed with this proposed budget. The United Negro College Fund released a statement saying, in part, UNCF strongly urges the Trump administration to reconsider federal funding commitments for HBCUs and their students so that the executive order does not become a toothless tiger. That, of course, Michael Lomax, who is the head of the UNCF. Joining us in the studio, Johnny Taylor, president of the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. Johnny, you were there in the Oval Office, and it was great. You guys met with Vice President Pence, and then, of course, Trump's top advisors, and it was all of this wonderful kumbaya stuff when it came to HBCUs. Where the hell is the money?
Well, the money's going to come from the Congress. I mean, at the end of the day, people's memory here just is amazing me. First of all, the president's budget.
I'm still
well,
looking for the
let me help with this. First of all, let's get all the facts straight. He didn't invite us. We requested that he invite us to the White House. We went. That's fact number one. Number two, he passed a budget. Anyone who was surprised that any Republican in office, particularly President Trump, was going to increase the federal budget was naive. He didn't say that. He said up front he was going to cut.
He's increasing the federal budget, $54 billion for defense.
He moved $54 billion to defense, which means you take money from other places, right? Okay, so Department of Education's budget was cut by 13%. 13%. HBCUs, if you believe what's written in the budget, says we're going to what? Protect you and maintain the $492 million. I don't know how that's a negative at the end of the day.
Okay. Where did the $577 million come from?
We don't know. I mean, that's so fascinating. All we know is that 395 or so million of it came from HBCUs.
But
HBCUs and minority-serving institutions.
But I had Omarosa on the Tom Joyner Morning Show, Omarosa Manigault, who's a senior advisor to the president, and she said point blank on the Tom Joyner Morning Show, she said the UNCF was asking, the HBCU community was asking for a 5% increase.
Right.
She said, forget that, I want 7 to 9%. I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Good, and I'm just
Is this a 7 to 9% increase?
So you're looking at what this $577 million that you're talking about. That's specifically in Title III. She was saying 5% of the overall federal budget. See, we get money from the Department of Defense, Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce. We get money from a lot of places. Okay. So this idea that you're specifically focused on this one line, Title III, HBCUs, strengthening HBCUs, and not the rest of the budget, that is to come. So there's a skinny budget.
Hold time out. It's to come.
Yeah, that's the process. You know, there's this first budget.
So you actually believe that they are going to increase funds to HBCUs 7 to 9%?
I don't know what they are going to do. Omarosa told you that. But I can tell you what we requested. I do believe that there will be an increase.
What did y'all request?
When we met with the president.
Yes.
So what we understand first is the president doesn't have a budget, right? The president will make a budget request to Congress.
He does have a budget. He presents the budget.
He makes a request that then goes to where? The appropriations, the authorization at the United States Congress.
Right.
We met with the president on Monday. We met with Congress on Tuesday. So the first part of this is he asked the president to, at a minimum, do not cut HBCUs.
Okay.
Which he didn't, according to this, right? And then the next stage is go over and meet with our friends on Congress, on Capitol Hill, the Republican-led Congress, and say, now, we need money in all of these various funding pots to ensure that HBCUs have the funding to do the work they want to do.
What increase did you ask for?
We ultimately, and I said a process, we ultimately asked for $25 billion in infrastructure support and other things, scholarships and funding for our schools, technology, et cetera.
Okay. And who in the Congress says, yeah, we might do that?
No one. What they said is, we will go through a process. So you got the skinny budget. In about 6 weeks or so, we're going to have the comprehensive budget, and that's when we're going to see the line by line. See, all of these people are jumping. They seem not to remember how it worked in the Obama days.
Right.
So there was something called the HBCU MI budget, that every year we were given less money than we requested by President Obama. Where were all these disappointed HBCU leaders then? It's disingenuous, my friend. That's not how it works.
I know where I was, I don't know about that.
I'm talking about HBCU leaders that you referred to. So think about it. 2009, the president's first budget came out, right? There was $85 million missing that President Bush had funded 2 prior years. Where were they then? All of a sudden, I didn't hear people say, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. Obama's the worst thing in the world. He duped us. We got. You got 95% of our vote, and now the question is, President Trump, says, I'm going to flatline you, level fund you, protect and maintain, and you were duped. Really?
So
really?
You know, what percentage increase are you asking? UNCF said 5%.
We asked for 10%. So let's be clear. The Thurgood Marshall College Fund asked for 10%.
You asked for 10%
of grants and competitive grants and contracts.
So UNCF said 5. You asked for 10%.
Yes.
And Omarosa said
somewhere between
7 to 9% of the time during the morning show.
And we're going to see that when the comprehensive budget comes out, which will give you line by line.
Now you hoping you see that?
Well, we surely hope so. Of course,
gotcha.
I damn sure.
No. When you say we will see that, that sounds like it's going to happen. I'm saying you hoping you're going to see that.
That's right, and we hoped for the last 8 years too. Remember?
Exactly.
Well, look, I've been there. Let's bring up our panel: A. Scott Bolden, attorney and former chair of the D.C. Democratic Party; Lauren Victoria Burke, political analyst and writer for NBC Black; Eugene Craig III, CEO of the Eugene Craig Organization. Lauren, I want to start with you. When you see the Post piece says an $85 million discrepancy, your thoughts on that?
There was an $85 million discrepancy on the first year of Obama's budget. Members of Congress, led by George Miller, who was then the chair of the House Education Committee, had to restore that money. And of course, as we all know, the Obama administration went on to cost HBCUs millions of dollars after Parent Plus, and cut some Pell and pursue policies that hurt HBCUs. So I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit. Under 100 days into the Trump administration, we don't really know what Congress is going to do. The president does not appropriate the money. Congress appropriates the money. So we don't know the full picture of what the line item is going to be until we see the entire budget.
Here's why I'm not pumping the brakes. Here's why I will not pump the brakes. Because when we pumped the brakes for the last 8 years, and then it was kind of like, oh, after the fact, now we say something. No, I would rather say something. I would rather say something on the front end. So
was cut, when that $85 million didn't show up in 2009, it was barely reported because a lot of black press wanted to be
hold
the
up one second. Stop 1 second. When you say barely reported, I don't know what measure you're using. But no, 1 second. No, that is, hold up, that is not true.
The $85
no, that is not true. Lauren, for a fact. Lauren, hold on, Lauren, you're going to get fact checked too. Tom Joyner himself wrote a... Lauren, listen. Tom Joyner himself specifically discussed it on his show, wrote a letter to the president. Tommy Dortch and others from Atlanta traveled to the nation's capital.
About the $85 million cut at the beginning.
I'm trying to tell you this. First of all, Tom Joyner has the largest show in urban America. Now, I don't care about the Washington Post, but I know where Tom Joyner was in challenging the president. No, but I'm trying to tell you. So don't say black folks were not there when Tom Joyner was there, Eugene. Lauren, you're wrong on that one. Eugene, go ahead. You're wrong on that one, Lauren. Eugene, go ahead.
The thing is this, the president, while Congress appropriates the money and doles out the cash as a part of the purse, that the president sets the tone with his agenda and with his budget. And, if we're going to hold Donald Trump true to his word. He said on the campaign trail that he's going to look out for HBCUs, and he brought the HBCU presidents in, and Omarosa has given us a pledge of 7 to 9%. I mean, she gave us a pledge of 20 to 25%, African American job enforcement within the administration. We'll see how this works out. But the president, the Trump administration needs to take our issue seriously, and I think it starts with HBCU funding. I mean, this is something. Look, if you're going to increase, I'm a fiscal conservative, so I think a $4 trillion budget is out of hand anyway. But if you're going to increase defense funding by $54 billion, if you're going to dole out $3 billion for a wall that we don't need, you could take half of that $3 billion and really do some serious work on HBCUs. That are real economic development for the African American community down the line.
Or also even keep Meals on Wheels. Go ahead.
Millions. And we're really comparing Donald Trump to what Obama did, or Barack Obama did in regard to historical black colleges. The bottom line is this, Roland, and that's sad, actually. That's a sad comparative. But here's the thing.
One, though.
Historical black colleges have been historically at the state level,
grossly underfunded from the beginning,
inequitable, and so the bottom line is we shouldn't be doing the comparative or arguing over maintaining the budget. This country owes historical black colleges millions, if not billions of dollars based on underfunding over the years. Underfunding. And so the dialogue, Omarosa has a goal and objective. She's not the bottom line, and she's not writing the budget herself.
Well,
she may be the Trump whisperer. The fact that she's budget, that's fine.
She's only
Let me just finish my
hold on 1 second. Omarosa is the individual who I've talked to personally, who is the biggest champion in the White House. Hold up on this issue. And what I'm saying is, you have somebody at the table who's saying, look, this is also what I'm advocating for.
That's right.
But the point I'm making is, I am not going to be quiet on this. Here's the deal. This show started November 2013. We were not here as a daily show in 2009. We were dealing with this on Washington Watch in 2009. And what I'm saying is, to any folks, black folks out there, I'm not waiting to after the fact. My deal is should be pushing now and not wait.
The only reason you're doing this, the only reason this is an issue is because, unlike Barack Obama, Donald Trump brought the presidents in, whether they wanted to be brought in or not, said he was going to do the best, be the best president for them in the history of this country. These presidents went up there, and again, his relationship with the truth and hypocrisy is quite a challenge, and yet somehow we believed him.
So you cut 13% of the Department of Education's budget and maintain HBCU funding,
but
and that's hypocritical? That's not letting off the hook.
Don't become an apologist for that.
I'm not apologizing. What I'm saying is, you jump in right now. He never said he was going to increase. We requested an increase. He never said he was going to increase.
Hold up. One, you cannot all talk. Johnny, 20 seconds, then Lauren.
This is a process. It is a process that starts with the first budget. A couple of weeks from now, we'll have several weeks, we'll have the comprehensive budget, and then we will go through the sausage making in Congress.
Lauren.
I don't remember a specific statement in there from the president on money, unfortunately. No. And of course, Elijah Cummings told me that there was no specific ask from HBCUs at either of those meetings, and that's problematic.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
That's not true. Well, Elijah Cummings wasn't there, so let me tell you, there was an ask. $25 billion.
Stop. In which meeting? The one with Trump or the one with Prince, Bannon, Kellyanne Conway?
And there were 3 meetings in that sense. So yes, at each one, I asked the president, I asked at the vice president's meeting, and then we ultimately had a meeting around the table. So we have asked 3 times.
Got it. Eugene, 1 second, Eugene. 20 seconds, and I got to go to break.
The issue is its priorities. If the president's administration consider HBCUs and the African American community a priority of them, they need to make sure that HBCUs are adequately funded.
A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not going to let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.